excited. Hi everyone. How are we doing? Not too hot, not too hungry. Nairobi held up. The rain will come later. Oh, not, but it's a good thing. And it's connected what we're about to talk about. Oh, it's so exciting to be sitting here with Yasmin. My name is Micheline, and I will be your moderator. I have just a small sliver of time to talk to this beautiful foodie who is helping us change the narrative of African food, not only for the continent, but for beyond, and beyond. And interesting thing about the sliver of time that we have is that when I talked to Yasmin, so it's Yasmin Fufana, thank you very much. If you don't know her, just add her, Afro Foodie, we'll learn all about it. So when I was chatting with you about this, you're like, but you know, Mish, I speak a lot. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to manage that because this whole thing seems like it's on time.
There is a timer.
Fantastic. We have a timer, we're on time, so we'll do what we can in this time.
Let's go.
Let's do it. So I'll do a very brief intro of Yasmin because I'd like you to add to this intro as you want to, right? While answering the questions. Pour les francophones, franchement, on va juste parler peut-être deux, trois choses en français because our Francophone, Central and West Africans, thank you, and Oceania and perhaps other, I'm like, come on guys, why is everything in English? But it's 99% English, désolé. So, Yasmin is really our star. She started Afro Foodie, which you might all know. If not, please read into it. She also started in Abidjan, right? The first restaurant week. It's been about 6 years now. And I just think, I mean, as somebody who, I'll throw in little nuggets about why this is so interesting for me in particular. As somebody who, you know, has traveled to 43 of our countries, that's one of my claims to fame. It's so great to be able to have a food week or a food, period in your country, in different African countries, because it showcases things that we don't even know locally. So I just wanted to highlight that's one of the things that Yasmin has done. I'm going to start with a question for you as part of my intro, which is, just give me two fun facts. Just two fun facts about yourself. And I've thrown you off guard because I like semi-structure. So it's not one of the questions I prepared. Two fun facts, and welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. Hello everyone, bonjour. Two fun facts. So, my favorite food is fonio. I get that from the Guinea side of my family. And the second fun fact is the fact that because I'm a foodie, people will assume that I'm not that fit. So when people do meet me, it's always funny because back then, like, I didn't have my pictures all over social media like it is today. So 11 years ago when I started, my picture was nowhere to be found. So when I was presenting myself, people were like, "Are you sure it's you? Where is all that food going?" So that was always funny to have that reaction from people when they first met.
That is crazy, right? To think that, I love food too, I'm not so petite, but to think that one has to be huge, and, one forgets genetics to also think that if you are, just bigger boned, that you love food or you eat a lot of it. Oh my God, so many stereotypes to navigate. So let's go actually with that. And fonio, I do not know if we've got that in Nairobi. So we'll give you ugali, we'll give you chapati.
I want that.
No, we'll give you pilau, we'll give you, okay, you want the local?
I want the local food.
Okay, so people, we're also going to have to take her out in Nairobi. I'm a veteran Nairobian, so I have to quickly think about what we've got. But speaking about stereotypes, so what are some of the kind of misconceptions about African food when looking at it from the outside?
There are so many, we can spend the whole day here, but one that I think about very often is the fact that our cuisines are not, and one thing, we always refer to African cuisine as African food or gastronomy, and I do that all the time, but I try to step away from it because we don't say European food or we don't, you know what I mean? So I try to step away from it and always say African cuisines because of the variety of our continent and our region, diverse our cuisines are. So most of the time, people would think that African cuisine are not healthy, nutritious, not visually appealing. Some of those things like that go a long way, but they would think, oh, it's African food, it's not that good, or it's not worthy of being on the international scenes. And like I said, I can spend the whole day speaking about stereotypes and how to navigate around that.
That is so true. I'm actually recalling a friend. I hope you're not here, and I will not out you. But it was like 8 years ago. He's like, you know, Mish, an African. I don't think African food will make it. Like, it's not exquisite cuisine. When I think of it, we have Meza Malonga, Congolese in Rwanda right now. We have Ikoyi in London. We have, I mean, so many. I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
Pierre Thiam in Senegal. I
Yes.
mean, you know, we have Loic Dablé in France. There's so many chefs now that are representing proudly our cuisines all around the world. So yeah, there's a movement, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Exactly. And again, this is our resource for all things, you know, great food. And I hope that friend is like literally eating his words right now because it is, you know, it's just such an annoying stereotype. Okay, so you start, you know, Afro Foodie, and is there a business side? Sorry, another question that I just thought of. Is there a business side to it that you're working through? Is it just passion? Is it social cultural? What is really just catalyzing this? And yeah, that's the story.
So it started as a passion. 11 years ago, in 2012, I started the first food blog of the country ever. And that was because coming back from my studies in the US, I realized that there were no platform made by an Ivorian for Ivorians living in Cote d'Ivoire or in the diaspora that was really catering to what the local food scene was about. So it was really just a passion, or working full-time job and hustling on the side and stuff like that. God being God and life being life, it evolved into a full-time, now my career is, I always say that it's so beautiful how like my background in marketing and communication and my passion for food and now telling stories about African cuisines kind of merged together in a so beautiful way so that it had become a business. So as a food content creator, one part of it is to work with brands. So working with brands, working with hotels, working with restaurants, working with institutions, beautiful, dope institutions like Africa No Filter, clap in the house, please.
Curious.
That believe in us and, you know, allow us to really express our creativity out there. So that's one aspect of it. And so I also, like you mentioned, run events now. I organized Abidjan Restaurant Week since 2017, and I just wound up Abidjan Cocktail Week before coming here. So 2 days before taking the plane, I was just rounding up the first edition of Abidjan Cocktail Week. And both of those events are events that are happening on the international scenes, both Restaurant Week and Cocktail Week. I believe Nairobi has a Restaurant Week, and I think also a Cocktail Week is happening all around the world and in Africa. And for me, it was important for a city as Abidjan, being in West Africa, with so much diversity that we have, food-wise or gastronomy-wise, to be also present on those international scenes with both events. So in the case of that events, business-wise, it's working with brands, again being sponsored, and also having like a revenue through ticket selling. So yes, it went from being a passion to now a business, and I'm eating my way through it all.
Oh my goodness, I'm so envious. I love the business. And it's important to actually identify those kind of nodes in the value chain, or those parts of the ecosystem, if you will. I'm thinking of the photographers, I'm thinking of this whole back end, and some of that really has a great monetization angle. So I see some people who are like, yes, I'm going to dash to her later. I mean, this is really great. So we talked about the funny thing about eating and being petite. That's one surprise. Anything else that surprised you along this food journey, if you will?
When it comes to our cuisines, right? I found it interesting because I was discussing it with Victoria, she in the room this morning. The similarities that we have in our cuisines. Now that I'm blessed to be able to travel around Africa and taste various cuisines and talk to actors and all that, I realized there are so many similarities. I mean, I've noticed that in West Africa, but now that I'm venturing myself little by little in East Africa, I'm also noticing that as well. For example, in West Africa, if you take sweet potato leaves, I don't know if there's anybody from Sierra Leone, Liberia in the room, for example.
Yum! My favorite thing.
So,
Potato leaf.
yeah, for example, there's a sweet potato leaf stew that's eaten across West Africa. But it's funny because the name is different, then again from English to French, or just, the nuances of the stew. Like, and I'm taking that as an example, but I also think about what Nigerian called zobo, what Ghanaian called sobolo, what we call bisap. It's made out of hibiscus flower. So all of those things, there are little things and examples. I have so many, but there are so many similarities because at the end of the day, we're all one people, right? I'm not going to take you back to the Berlin conference, but how Africa was divided, but we're all one people at some point. So all of those cuisines that are known like now all around the continent, we're basically all together. So for me, that's really interesting because going from one place to another, I'm like, oh, okay, I've seen that before, and even funny thing, what Nigerian calls puff puff and Ghanaians, and we call ofloto. I saw one at the hotel this morning. I think it's called mandazi here.
Let's
and
give
I was
it up
like,
for mandazi. That's puff puff. It's just bigger, right?
exactly. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I've seen this before. Not in the same shape, and that's crazy because I went to Dubai and it's called Lukaimat in Dubai. So it's the same thing. It's just that it has different names, different shapes, and it means different things for different people. But at the end of the day, it's so good.
So good, exactly. So the big diamond shape is mandazi and the small round one is puff puff. Here's the thing you made me think about now is just getting into the diaspora, right? So so I'm going to take one funny story and ask my question. Agouti. Okay, I've heard about Agouti, so I have a podcast. Part of the reason I like doing this is on We Three Queens of Africa, which is this great podcast supported by ANF that I run. We talk about African narratives by us, for the world. And like the last sessions, panelists really believe in the importance of being authentic about that and talking about it us for ourselves. So I talked about agouti, which I loosely defined as what the Ghanaians call grass cutter, said just like that, grass cutter. And I was like, this is a big rat. It's a big rat, and it appeared on my plate at the Alocodrome d'Abidjan. And I was like, this is just not happening. I cannot eat this thing. So first I just wanted to make a comment on this thing, but I'm just like, yuck. But on the podcast I said yuck respectfully, and some Trinidadians were like, this is yum, this is a delicacy for us, we're loving this. And a bunch of other islanders commented too. So I thought about the way, first I still was like, no, my Abidjanese food is poisson brisé, which is the best grilled fish. But I also was like, okay, food carries itself across to the diaspora. Right, so how have you seen that, or do you have any sort of thoughts about that? Because I find that concept actually really powerful.
It is very powerful because the way, I want to say that the diaspora is one of the reasons why I'm still here, sort of, because the way they've been nicely threatening me not to stop, as in we're connecting through to our country thanks to what you're doing, what we're saying on social media. And so for them, it's really that, that connecting point, that connecting part. So yes, I totally understand your point. And when you talk about agouti, now I'm thinking I was in Botswana last year, and they mentioned mopani worms. I don't know if anybody tried mopani worms. And as much as a foodie as I am, people I could not. Because, then again, it's not about big rat, worms. But I heard it's so good, I'm like, yeah, you should try it. And I'm like, guys, no. But see, I'm sure there's so many examples that we can take about how, even as Africans, and as probably as we are African, there's so many other, dishes or meals that, we'll still kind of hesitant to try. But then again, that's what makes African food what African food is today.
Exactly, the variety, the diversity, the woos over here. I see the Southern Africans, and then some people literally shrimp, just like, So here, with time, this will be the last question, and we'll try to end it on a high note. But I can't stop. I can't talk about food without talking about hunger and insecurity. So we know that 1 out of 5 Africans go to bed hungry. Here we are, from worms to fish to fonio and grains. I mean, we're about to eat mandazis tomorrow, chapatis later. We can just eat, it seems. But 1 in 5 of us doesn't have that access. 140 million Africans are food insecure. So is this all just, a bit too frivolous against this backdrop, or how do you just reconcile all of this?
You know what? Before this morning, I was like, how am I going to answer the question? And then Adam is still in the room. Yes, thank you, because you gave me my answer. As far as counter stereotyping, like the fact that we are always associating, and you tell me if I got my homework right, they're always associating, Africa with poverty, with anger, and all the stereotypes. Yes, it's our reality, and I'm not, taking away from it. It is a sad reality of it all. But do I want to always keep that in mind, even though it's true, and we do whatever we can to counter that policy-wise and all that, but what can I do on my end to make sure I'm telling a new story, right? So this is what I'm doing throughout for foodie and through all these events, and this is why we're here as we are.
Absolutely, that is so true. And thanks, Adam, for adding that thought. And I also wrapped my mind around it to say, surely the food business also creates jobs. And surely if we source locally, I was talking to somebody who plants, an amazing entrepreneur who plants cassava in Kilifi here. And we can just make sure that value chain, they're poor normally, these smallhold farmers, of which some of us might be here, and linking them to both the local, the national, continental, and global supply.
Yeah, exactly.
So things like that, I think, will help. And in the meantime, we're so happy to have you educate us about food, create the business, the passion for other food lovers, and help us to really, really push for that diverse, interesting, positive, colorful, other African narrative. Donc merci beaucoup d'être venu. On va manger ensemble, peut-être aujourd'hui ou demain.
Okay,
pour ceux qui veulent manger avec nous, if you want to eat with us, find us. Try and find something good to eat. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.